I don't know. When it says hide, I guess it really does hide you. Instead of put you in the background, it decides to hide you entirely. Thursday thoughts. Hi, John. Hear you there. Apologies for being a little on the tardy side. I don't know if you know this last night, but kind of rained, and this might end up being something opening kickoff-ish. We'll find out here in a second. But uh, I don't know how many of you have animals as a part of your family, but last night was one of those moments where, with all of the consistent rain that was going on, and all the thunder and all the noise and all the lightning and everything, the rowdy man was not a happy man. And literally, he wanted to go down into the bottom of the house, and he wanted to make sure that he was the only person that was in the basement. He didn't want anything to do with the top two floors, the middle floor and the upper floor of the casa here at Studio HD. So he was up most of the night, very very fidgety, kind of didn't want anything to do with anything of the noise, wanted to try and hide as much as possible. And in looking at the rain totals here in Atlanta, depending on where you were, it was anywhere from like 3.5 inches to 5.5 inches. And trust me, as I was sweeping out the back patio this morning, just before we went on the air, and it's the other reason I was late, it was an adventure last night. And so my commiserations and sympathies for all of you that had animals that had to go through it last night, because we know that they are family. And yeah, the rowdy man was not happy. I anticipate both he and the boss might be putting in some napping hours here this afternoon. So we'll let you know about that. But yeah, it was a long evening for the rowdy man last night. Oh, by the way, you see things are a little different here at in the studio setting. Reason I say this, then Michael, with the neighborhood rain gauge just under 5 inches in a day. You see how traditionally there's stuff here. We are swapping out pianos. So this piano is going to some trusted folks here locally, and we are getting a family piano being brought in, and it is going to take this position here. So that is why you don't see the boss this morning. Wait, there we go. You don't see the boss this morning is because she was doing all of the handiwork to make sure that the piano goes. And they're between 11 and 12. So if I have to end the show 5 minutes early, if they show up right at 11 o'clock, and then I apologize ahead of time. But yeah, this piano is going, and we're bringing in another one. I'd love to know how they plan on doing it. So we'll see what happens there. So yeah, Ricky with the story that came out about the USL. So we'll get into that this morning. We got Merseyside to get into, Champions League to get into. Atalanta got SC Rude yesterday in their matchup against Bruges. We'll go through all of that. And there's the news and all the other things to get into in hour number one. Whatever's on the table, we'll get into that and go through it all this morning. And in hour number two, as always, it is the Power Hour with Nino and Niko. Nino drops by at 10, lets us know what's on his mind as he goes fully loaded. And we'll discuss what happened with the Portuguese team specifically in league and in broadcast and in programming. Wink, wink. And we'll get into that. We'll get into Champions League and how the Portuguese sides just got absolutely just hammered the other day. CONCACAF was last night as well. We'll get into that. And it was going to be a tall order for Real Esteli going into Tigres to try and pull out a result. It was like 2-0 after 20 minutes. Goal in the first 10, goal in the second 20. And it was a long slog last night for the teams on the road. You know, that's when you have the minnows that come in, the big underdogs, they get the big result at home in leg number one, and they try to hang on in leg number two. But last night it was Linus and it was Gignac and it was all the powers that be trying to get a result last night in CONCACAF. We'll get you caught up in hour number one, get you ready for the day, and then our analysis, Major League Soccer, Niko Moreno joining us at the tail end of hour number two, finding out things from the Pacific perspective. I think he is trying to lobby that Pedro de la Vega be on a lot of fantasy teams this year. And so far, De La Vega has shown out to do very, very well. We'll talk about all the action in the Western Conference, what's going on, and we'll kind of lean it back to the East and let Niko let you know what's on his mind. And then obviously going around the world in 30 minutes with Nino Torres. That happens at 10 o'clock. We do have the bat signal out this morning, and I don't know if it's going to get answered, but if it does, then huzzas and hoorays. And so and it actually appears that we may have the bat signal answered. And so we will catch up with folks and find out about what's going on in Major League Soccer. You may know this individual, so we will let everybody know that the bat signal has been answered. And for those that might be following this particular individual's social media, you might know that yesterday was a bit of a travel adventure. So we'll talk about adventures and travel and everything else going on in the life of this individual, if he can navigate everything. So we'll let you know what's going on around the planet here coming up in just a little bit. Okay. Yesterday, Merseyside derby, you had, that's the way to end a Merseyside derby, folks. Tarkowski instead of Varkovsky, it was Tarkowski, and you had a goal at the death. And you want to talk north of 90 minutes, 97 minutes, Tarkowski gets the goal, and Everton gets a point out of the last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. And then you had chaos. You had players waving at the opposing fans, trying to get things done. You had 4 red cards, 2 of them involving coaches for Liverpool, and 1 on each side for Everton and for Liverpool by the time it was done. So Everton gets a point out of the last Goodison Merseyside derby. Absolute chaos, no real surprise. But once again, you're trying to figure out, okay, so reviews and things and all of the points that were there with Merseyside yesterday, and a lot of it had to do with VAR and VAR review. So you continue to roll through these points. It takes so long, and literally, so there was a TikTok that was done, a play-by-play by Tom Morgan, who was there yesterday. And so here's how he laid it out. You get a clash of heads, Alcaraz and Branthwaite. And so both on the floor. And so you're thinking, okay, it's going to be 2-1 and Everton's going to lose. So Mikolenko connects with Tarkowski. Tarkowski at 97-10 gets the equalizer. Then you get a pitch invasion. Then you get a VAR check. Michael Oliver informs everybody, the players and VAR is looking. And so everybody's kind of like, well, is it a goal? Is it not? We had our initial celebration, and then, we're kind of like right here. Liverpool appeals for a foul, but the point of contention was whether Van Dijk kept Doucouré onside. VAR checked it and cleared a Doucouré push on Konate as well. Goal was given at 99. Woo! So full time, whistle blows. It's a draw. Doucouré decides that he wants to celebrate in front of the Liverpool fans. Curtis Jones takes exception of Doucouré celebrating in front of the Liverpool fans. Those would be your other 2 red cards, by the way, by the time all of it was done. So Slut, number 1 assistant, Doucouré and Jones got your 4 reds after the match was over. And so you get like 8 folks. Jones pushes Doucouré in the back, 8 folks in front of the cops. You get melee, and a lot of the Yellow Jackets are there. So 10 seconds after full time, looking at pictures, you have Alcaraz in the middle of it, apparently, and he looked like he was in the middle of it trying to back away from police. Nunez and Van Dijk among the first on the scene for Liverpool. 20 seconds in, where you have everybody in the pile with the police. Folks start throwing bottles. We know that always ends well. So you had 8 in the pile with cops, people throwing bottles. And then 45 seconds after full time, then you end up with Sipke Hulshoff was the other one that got the red for Liverpool. So Slut, Hulshoff, Jones, Doucouré each get reds. And then Van Dijk, in his post-match comment, says that he says, I think Doucouré wanted to provoke our fans. I think that is what I saw. And Curtis Jones didn't think it was the right thing to do. We all saw it and reacted as a team, and we were able to do. You know what happens nowadays? It becomes one big tussle. And then it's not me who has to deal with it; it's the referee. And today, I'm not sure he had it under fully control. Put ourselves in a solid position. The main thing is for us to completely focus on ourselves as fans as well. Don't look at what others are doing and writing. Just focus on us. David Moyes, of course, I thought the referee refereed the game well. He didn't get involved with every challenge. It was Michael Oliver, by the way. I think the night was maybe made for something to happen. Wasn't the greatest, wasn't the cleanest game of football you've ever watched, but it was a bit of a throwback, a bit scrappy for both sides. Had to find a way of making the gap not so big and did a good job of it. He didn't see what happened from where he was positioned. Emotions running high here all night, stadium fever pitch, so on and so on. And so the larger point by Steve McManaman, Macca was calling the game locally. And he says, Decore had 37,000 of his own fans to go and celebrate in front of. To go and antagonize the Liverpool fans was a silly decision. It was only going to end one way. Phil Jagielka says, you can see why Slut was furious. There's a slight little nudge in the box. And if that was my team, I'd be appealing. I'd be getting sent off after the game, too. Slut always stays about saying composed, but it seems like he lost a bit of his composure at the end there. That's what a derby does to you. And that is exactly what a derby does to you. Derbies do these things. Derbies absolutely do these things. And so you end up with Merseyside being as chaotic as humanly possible. No real surprise. And so it was pretty fun to see what was going on there involving Liverpool and with Everton last Merseyside there at Goodison Park. So chaos begets more chaos, as the kids say. And so sure enough, you had chaos. No real shock. But also yesterday, Champions League, Atalanta and Bruges. You want to talk about a soft, and this is where we would bring in our buddies Enzo and Big Cass, because it was so soft it was spelled differently. SAWFT, soft. That was the call. It was that soft, literally, to get that squared away. So it was. To get that particular call squared away, and just ask Nick. Literally, just ask Nick about these things. So Nick and Italian sides in how do we phrase in the world of European competition. Sometimes you have issues. And sometimes you don't have issues, but Champions League has issues, it seems, with their partners in Italian football when it comes to seeing what is going on all around the planet. So, yesterday, so it was an opportunity for our friends at Club Bruges, and we will see what happens there. We'll go over all the rest of it there. Now, for those of you that may follow this particular individual on the media that is social, you might have noticed that he had some adventures yesterday in travel. And so he gets major, massive bonus points for hanging out with us. And I think that it's only appropriate that he gets the proper preview and the proper introduction before he shows up here for the first time, getting into 2025.
Back to Almiron, still Almiron, still Almiron! 2-0 Atlanta United. It's another peak.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had to do it that way, Kev.
Oh, Johnny boy, how are you? Good morning.
Well, the question's more for you, brother, because your travel adventures were, how should we say, adventurous yesterday?
All good, all good. It was about 4 hours delayed in the end, but we got here late into wintry Connecticut. So heading into the new studios for the first time. I wish I don't have as much time as I thought I'd have to hang out, because I totally slept it out with getting in so late, and I've got to shave and shower and get over there for 10 o'clock. I know, but I'm going to be on again in the next few days. I hope, with you guys. But yeah, good fun with Dax. Good fun with Dax, just chatting, and Ozzy Alonso too. Ozzy Alonso was on the plane with us, and we shared an Uber afterwards. And like, Ozzy Alonso's still in East Cobb, Dax is in Brookhaven, so it's pretty cool.
All right. So now that you've opened that door, the announcement was made by the league. You know what your roster is going to be like. Obviously, the anticipation getting ready for 25. Man, there's a lot to be jacked up about when it comes to the broadcast for Apple TV.
Yeah, big time, big time. I think Dax is going to be a tremendous addition to our team. He's so methodical in the way he thinks. He really is diving in on each and every team. the way you'd hope he is, but he's telling me, I'll call this guy. I've been talking to this old teammate, and he's played for 6 different clubs, 19 seasons, so he's got so many contacts throughout the league. So I think he's going to be great on our side. Ozzy will be great in Spanish, and there's a couple of different editions that maybe can jump between English and Spanish as well. So excited to get in there. I'm excited to see the studio and just see the space, So for me, it's heading back to WWE as well, where I spent 3 years. So that's going to be an interesting one. So it's going to be fun.
And with a lot of the storylines that are going out there, because with the truncated time that you have, let's do greatest hits, and then you can come back and we can do more in depth. The recent news about intra-club transfers dropping a lot of dollars now, Lucho Acosta moving, Evander moving, all these kinds of things. What is your thought pattern on teams dropping a lot of money on each other now and not having it within the framework of Gam, Tam, and Yam and so much?
Yeah, John, I could never understand this for the longest time, and maybe yourself, Jason, with much more intelligent ways to articulate why we didn't have an internal transfer market a long time ago. It's just been needed. Like, why is it that, Brandon Vasquez is a striker in the league that's doing really, really well with Cincinnati, and next thing he goes to Liga MX, and an MLS team that would have really wanted him can't get him. It didn't make sense in that moment. Now this is just fun. This is flat out fun to see Lucho head to Dallas. Then you got Musa and Lucho up front. That's going to be some pairing, because I think Musa is one of the most under-discussed top-class strikers in the league. It's Evander to Cincinnati, you think. That's not announced yet, right? It's not out there yet?
Oh, hang on. I thought that they had said the magic words yesterday. I think really? They had said a la peanut butter sandwiches. Hang on just a second.
Tom Bogert's all over it. Like, Evander to Cincinnati is a blockbuster move, because he was a big-time signing for Portland, and his stock has been elevated since joining the Timbers in Major League Soccer. Da Costa, I think, is a player that's going to head to Portland for $6 million. It's just, the merry-go-round is enjoyable, and you can see the dominoes fall and why a move affects another move. And for fans, like, if you're a fan of the Premier League or La Liga, the transfer window is so much fun. So it's giving Major League Soccer another layer now, thankfully.
And when you look at some of the other storylines, I know we look at LAG, no Ricky Puig to start, Joveljic getting sold, another one of those intra-league moves where Joveljic goes to Kansas City. It'll be interesting out west with LAG with their questions, LAFC trying to get back to where they were. The league has so many plot points, Kevin.
Yeah, and one of the biggest ones for me is LA Galaxy. Are they set to fall off a cliff at the beginning of the season? Because you take out Paintsville for 8 weeks or so from this point, potentially. Ricky Puig not back for several months. Obviously, Joveljic goes to Sporting Kansas City. That's a massive blow. I know Christian Ramirez is coming in, but Joveljic, man, he was so good last season. So I'm curious to see how they're going to do. A couple of their players have spoken about the MLS rules and wondering why they have to take a pay cut after winning the championship, things like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on Greg Vanney's team. And obviously in California, I think California is the most interesting place to look at with the MLS heading into this season, because LAFC, the spotlight was taken from them. They've had the spotlight since they arrived in MLS in 2018. And the Galaxy quickly took that back last season from them. They've got to recover, LAFC. And LAFC, remember, pipped the Galaxy on decision day for top of the West, and then they laid an egg at home against Seattle. So LAFC, with Griezmann likely to join, that's all the rumor, right, in the summertime, will be huge. Then San Diego, I feel like they're coming in an underwhelming fashion. I really hope I'm wrong. I hope that Chucky Lozano, Della Torre, I hope they're a good side. And then San Jose is just so much fun right now to keep an eye on. Like, if you're not thinking they're going to be a top 4 team, I think you're crazy. I think Bruce is going to have an instant hit with this team because they're experienced. That he's added experience in every area of the field. That, I was listening to my buddy Dax, Dan Gargan, and Gordo's podcast recently. They had Mike McGee on the Journeyman.
Yep.
And Mike McGee was talking about how what Bruce does everywhere he goes, and how, like, the punishment's severe if you're falling short. The rewards are massive if you're winning, and how he's going to get a tune out of this team. And it's going to be a team of misfits, but it's going to be great fun to watch. And San Jose could be the best team in California.
Yeah, Chicho Arangos and some guy named Joseph, they turned into Revs West with 4 talented players heading in that direction. All right, enough of the West. Let's talk East. Atlanta. I know that it's an easy topic and it's low-hanging fruit, but I don't know if you've had your cup of coffee yet this morning. So let's go
Nope.
Atlanta United. And what your thoughts are on the hometown club?
My thoughts are that if the defense can figure itself out, and if Bartek Slish can be the 6 that he was brought in to be, I think Atlanta United could win MLS Cup, because that should be, I mean, on paper, the most potent attack in the league. Brad Guzan proved last season that he's the fittest he's ever been, the most tuned in he's ever been, and all it takes is for people to start doubting the 40-year-old, and he'll produce. And he was absolutely phenomenal in the playoffs. So I don't doubt Brad at all. Brooks Lennon's coming back from a big-time injury. Hopefully he's back to full health. And he's the sort of guy mentally who will take this more serious than anyone else, and like the getting back to full fitness. So you don't doubt him or Amador on the left. Can the centre-backs produce? Can Gregerson stay fit? Big question marks. And then the most important position, the most important for me, is the 6. It's absolutely the 6 for this team, because there's so many attacking threats, and there's great work rate from the attackers. Like Latte will work, Almiron, Sabalov, they're going to work hard. But Click needs to be given that license to be the assist guy nearly. And I just think that, like Lorento has provided for so many years, Eric Remedi, when he came in 2018, he was phenomenal for that second half of the season. And Bartek Slish needs to be that captain figure, that leader, and that, you know, we talked about it last night with Dax and Ozzy. He needs to be that sort of player, especially that Ozzy Alonso, that grit and determination in midfield to really, really get the fans behind the team. He's got to be that guy.
All right, one more question for you, then I'll let you cut the promo, then get your coffee and your shave so you can head out to the studios.
I need shave so badly.
Columbus. Let me ask about Columbus. No Cucho. He headed to Real Betis. Jarrett was thinking maybe that the career dissipation light in Major League Soccer for Wilfred Nancy before he heads to Europe might be kind of winding down. Columbus will be intriguing this year.
Columbus will, but this like the crazy thing is, if I mean this sincerely, if this is any other coach in the league, I'm a little bit more worried. But because it's Nancy will see this as such an opportunity. This is the way he frames things. This is the way his squad will receive his message. Wow, people don't think you can do this. What an opportunity this is for us to improve, to get better. And I'm looking at Rossi is stepping up, obviously, but I think Jason Russell-Rowe is an under-the-radar shout for maybe the Golden Boot this year. I think if they don't bring in a big-time star to lead the line, he's going to be the one leading the line. And I think he's really, really good. He was MLS, Next Pro Golden Boot winner a few years ago. Someone that I think Toronto let him go, and Columbus will reap the rewards. And I just think he's going to be really good. Elsewhere, though, you know, Moreira's a year on, Nagby's a year on. Like there are some concerns there, but in Nancy, I trust. I think he's the best coach in the league, and I'm excited to see what Columbus can produce.
He's a stud. All right, cut the promo for me. What's going on with Apple TV and why you're in the Northeast and actually made it up there alive?
Yeah, rehearsals today. Rehearsals. I don't know if I have a promo in me right now. Maybe after today, if I bump into small friends. But I'm excited to get stuck back in there, and I'm just so honored, stupidly honored, and excited to be in this role. That we're hopefully, you know, I say hopefully, we're going to do everything in our power to continue to take this to the next level, to take our product to another level. You know, the first 2 years working with Apple has been tremendous. Year 3 is going to be the best year for everybody, and I hope people can tune into 360. We're taking it all the way till 1 a.m. to the end of the games. Thankfully, that was much needed. And then, of course, Sunday Night Soccer. As soon as that game ends, I'll be on with wrap up for an hour with Dax, Sasha, Brad, and we'll be taking you through the entire weekend, which hopefully people will stick around for.
Yeah, that is one of my lifebloods because I like things rapid fire, and what you guys do at 360 is absolutely tremendous. Go get your coffee, go get your shower, go see your studio, enjoy your rehearsals. We'll see you soon, my friend.
Much love to everybody watching. Thanks, guys. Appreciate having me, Johnny.
All right, there goes Kevin Egan, everybody. So Kevin made it to the Northeast. And like I said, Kevin was the guest that we had kind of in flux, depending upon travel plans and all that kind of stuff. So first and foremost, glad that Kevin made it. So we got to catch up with Kevin for about 10-12 minutes, and Kevin has golden ticket status, so he knows anytime he wants to come in and say something, he can come in and say something. But it was just cool to catch up with Kevin for a little bit. Like I said, if you were following him on social media last night, it was like, well, we're delayed. And now we're 3 hours delayed, and we're 4 hours delayed, trying to get out of this, trying to get out of where you were flying out of and heading north. But Kevin made it, as you could tell, hotel room up north, and in the environs of the Greenwich Mean Street posse. So Kevin going to rehearsals today. That I did not know. So that was a bit of a divulge from Kevin that they're into rehearsals today, because they're not in New York anymore. They're in the WWE studios in Stamford, Connecticut. And so you got to figure out the lay of the land with all your virtual stuff and all this and all that, and figure out how it's all going to play. And so that's why Kevin was up there. Now we know the rest of the story. And I should drop Paul Harvey right in there. Now we know it's rehearsals day for the MLS broadcast crew, and Kev and everybody at 360. Like I said, these days for me, and I don't know how you consume your athletics, but one of the things I miss what ESPN used to do with their college football coverage. I think they called it Goal Rush. And what they would do is they would have they'd have, a couple of analysts in the studio, and they would go for like 10 hours, sometimes 13. And they would go from game to game that they had on ESPN Plus, and they would have that, and it would be one of the channels that would be like way in the north of your cable system, but you could go with all the ESPN properties, and they would go from game to game to game to game to game, and you would see what's going on in college football. They don't do that anymore. It stopped a couple of years ago. Disappointing. So on NFL Sundays, what I end up doing is I watch Scott Hansen and Red Zone. That's how I consume my National Football League. And with Major League Soccer, when the match for Atlanta United is separate and apart from everything else on the schedule, that's how I consume my Major League Soccer. And when you hear everyone there at the table going berserk and having their moments and all those kinds of things, that to me is the fun part of doing those kinds of things. And so that's how I consume things these days. Literally, I'll watch 360. I'll watch Red Zone. I watch Goal Rush. Give me something where I can have it all in one place, and I trust that the individuals there know where they need to go to showcase their particular sport the best they can. So that's how I end up. Doing it. Is I consume 360, and then I'll go to individual games if the pattern's a little skewed. I'll go to the individual game out of the blocks. Then I'll go into 360, and I'll stay there if I'm not at Mercedes-Benz Stadium doing things. And so let me send a salutation to Kev, and there we go. So Kevin Egan has been thanked. All right. So coming up top of the hour, it's our buddy Nino Torres from Gold TV. We're going to discuss everything Champions League. We'll discuss South America. We'll discuss the world in 30 minutes and whatever else is on Nino's mind. And I do want to talk about Any Given Sunday and Invincible, considering that's what he talked about on Saturday. So let's say hi to everybody out of the blocks and let everybody know what's going on in the collective. Morning, Ricky. Morning, D. Graham. Morning, Alex. Yeah, kind of rained. Wow. Yeah, Michael had 4.78 inches here in the neighborhood for Office HD since Monday. So a couple days worth of stuff. You get almost 5 inches of rain. That's insane. I think Beaufort had one of the northeastern suburbs here. Those not familiar with the Atlanta area had 3.5 inches alone yesterday. I will run through the stuff with USL. We'll get into that briefly before we get out of here. In some aspect today, it's either going to be here in the first half hour or the second half hour or past hour number 2. We will get into that because the story that was put out by Paul Tenorio at The Athletic about where USL looks like they're going to be trying to chase after D1 status and have a D1 league of 12 to 14 teams in the next couple of years. Michael, that's the question. How would USL go D1 in their current markets? Maybe they go to other markets. Don't know. So that's one of the questions that is going to be posed. And like I said, we'll look at the Tenorio piece coming up in just a little bit. David, got a lovely AMA from Kevin and Dax last night. Absolutely true. Abby, I'd love to get Dax on and have Dax talk about everything that is going on in his new life and what the adjustments are for him there. And we know that Dax, as evidenced by his start, basically his I think it was an unofficial, then an official start. His first start, his first cap for Apple TV was at MLS Cup, and we all knew from his time here with Atlanta, his time in Major League Soccer, that Dax was going to give you thoughtful analysis. He's going to tell you what he thought. He's going to be honest about it. And you got to see how it started to translate coming from off the field or on the field to off the field with his time with Apple at MLS Cup. And now I am interested to see how Dax is transitioning into full-time Blazer wear on the air. So I'd love to catch up with Dax and find out, okay, how are things with you, sir? And how are you adjusting to that new life? So we'll catch up. We will effort as many folks from Apple TV as humanly possible now that the season is just about underway. And but yeah, we will definitely work our way to try to get Mr. McCarty on and hang out. So Abby won a signed jersey from a player of her choice last night. Ooh, see now. All right, so that's your that's your POD. So you win a signed jersey from a player of your choice. Who's your player? You get Miggy, AM59, Saba, Latte La, Click, Sleesh, Brad. It's going to be one of those. It's one of those questions. Abby, I understand your pain. I understand the thoughtfulness here. So, and so Dax, according to Abby, has received the thank you Dax banner. Awesome. That's great. Glad that made it to Dax. And yes, Ricky, I would agree. They do need to build a satellite studio here in Atlanta. We'll just go crash. It'll be like we'll get in the tank and we'll just sit there and we'll take the tank and we'll go through the front door and we'll just kind of crash the whole thing. That would be awesome. So that would be something that we could definitely look forward to. Just go ahead and crash the gates. And let's see. So a lot of thought for Kevin, obviously. So morning four card. And public service announcement. The picks of the week are on the Discord. First game's at noon today. Yikes. Okay. Yes. Well, and yeah, Ricky, no commercials. Ricky's hoping, please, no commercials in 360 during games. Yeah, I know, Tommy. The intrigue of the circle back, how life is what life is. Yes, and so Abby was yes, we are changing pianos. Yeah, we are changing pianos. That is absolutely true. So yeah, definitely a satellite studio. Michael was at the beach and you missed most of the rain. Good for you. Absolutely good for you. Then four card talking about USL. Abby says Dax is still here in town because of school for the kids. Then he moves back to Florida. So yeah. So who do you get to sign that jersey? Alex is yes. And then there you go. Obvious answer is to get Miggy to sign Away the Stripes and then gift it to Alex. I see how Alex is working. But yeah. No, the boss is not. I mean, the boss is not far away. Boss is just off camera. Boss is right here. And she is with all the paperwork. The boss took everything that was on top of the piano and underneath the piano that I've created the mess with here in the office, and she has moved it off camera. And so I'd love to know how they're going to get this thing out of here. I really would. I mean, we anticipate that they're going to take it out the back because you can't really do a Y turn with a piano heading that way. And I mean, unless you like literally pivot, do something like that. That would be the only way that I could see that would happen. I'm not so sure that would happen that way, though. My guess is that they're going to take it out the back, but the back is a marsh. Back is a mud pit. Monster Jam would be happy to have a new addition in our backyard. I literally, I swear to God, I swept for 15 minutes, got in a good workout, and easily pushed out a foot and a half of water because our back patio, sorry. I always get porch and patio confused. Our back patio has the screen doors that go flush. And so there's no way for the water to go out. That's our next thing to figure out here in the house. But when the water stays, obviously it backs up, and it backs up because it's not a flat surface. Our back porch has a bit of a tilt to it, and it tilts kind of toward the yard, if that makes any sense. So everything kind of congregates right toward the trim where the screen door is. And I guess this is kind of something opening kickoffy, but so yeah, when water comes in, we live at the bottom of the hill. And so all the water comes in naturally because of gravity and such. So if it gets past the drain, gets past the yard, or it just rains directly into the porch, then it's screwed and we're stuck there. So it's there, and there's no way for it to get out. Like I said, that's probably the next project, trying to drill a hole or something and try and figure out a way to get the water out of the porch and back toward the drain. So it congregates, and we have to go through rugs every couple of years just because of the amount of water that's there, but it's not a flat surface. And so it kind of tilts its way back toward the drain a little bit, even though it can't get to the drain. So sweeping the water out, I have to sweep it so hard it goes over the 3-inch trim of the screen doors, and it makes just a big mosh pit, big mud pit. Like I said, Monster Jam would be happy to be here. But yeah, big mud pit on the outside of the screened-in porch, patio, screen, whatever it is. But anyway, the place where people sit that's got cover in and around it, there. That's on the other side of that door, and that's where I think they're going to have to take the piano out. But it's muddy and nasty, so we'll see what happens later today. And like I said, they're supposed to be here between 11 and 12. Eastern time, and if they are, and I hear knocking on the door, then that means they're here, and we got to wrap the show. So that's where we are this morning with stuff. Yeah, waterproof boots are wonderful. I have my Merrells. I thought about using them last night for Creek Cup, and went with tennis shoes, got in and got out okay. By the way, Creek Cup is going to be on the SDH network on our Mixler channels today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Jason and Maddie and the crew, they're going to be at Johns Creek for 2 matches at 6 and 8. I have 1 match on the girls' side at 6 o'clock from Northview. So keep an eye out at soccerdownhere.mixler.com and on SDH2. And you can listen to all 3 of the matches, 2 of them going on simultaneously. Set your devices appropriately. So Creek Cup continues today, day number 2. Thanks to our friends at Johns Creek and Northview for being great hosts for us and letting us being able to broadcast this great kickoff tournament in high school soccer to all of you on our Mixler channels. You can go back and listen to the 1 match that happened yesterday with Campbell knocking off LaGrange on the girls' side. The Midtown Johns Creek match was forfeited because of travel issues that Midtown was having coming from downtown Atlanta up to Northview. So it was only the 1 match yesterday, but it did determine what the championship bracket's going to look like on Saturday. In that particular bracket, it's going to be Campbell, Johns Creek to determine the bracket winner, and it's going to be LaGrange and Midtown to determine the 3rd place team in that particular bracket. Bracket play continues today, and it continues tomorrow and Saturday all day. SDH 1 and 2 will have all of your championship brackets, bracket action, 11, 1, 3, and 5, 12, 2, 4, and 6. I think that sounds right. On SDH1 and SDH2, soccerdownhere.mixler.com, and SDH2, soccerdownhere2.mixler.com. So set your notifications, and you can hang out with us the entire time as we're giving you some of the best in boys and girls soccer here in the state of Georgia to kick things off. Then after that, we get a couple days off, and then we're back at it with 2 games on Tuesday, the 18th. Jason will be at McIntosh and Dalton down at McIntosh, 3 o'clock kick. That'll be on our Mixler channel. And then I will be up with Maddie and a cast of thousands for the boys match between Seconder and Appalachia up at Appalachia on Tuesday. And then that'll start things in earnest again with Gainesville and Johnson. Let's see, Gainesville, North Gwinnett. That is on the 19th. And we're planning to be in Dalton for Johnson, Gainesville, and Dalton on the 21st before opening day on the 22nd. So yeah, we're not even done with February. That's where we are. So that's where we are with all of our broadcasts. All right, let's get through the promos and get you through the rest of the things that are going on here around the planet and get you ready for Nino Torres and Niko Moreno in hour number 2 here today. Promos, once again, Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And what you can do is use the code SoccerDownHere15. After you have purchased all of your Kickoff Coffee, you get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives, stuff that they have earmarked as cool. Our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Now, also, our friends at Grady Baby Co. Well, actually, you can also go to soccerdownhere.net and get all of our gear that we currently have. This is one of the more comfortable sweatshirts that I've had as part of our old gear, and we've got to probably release the retro stuff sooner rather than later. Go to Grady Baby Co. You can get the Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta gear, and with your purchases there, you help out middle school soccer programs attached to Atlanta Public Schools, starting here in 2025. You can get it in the red, you can get it in the black, you can get it in the gold lettering. Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta, and you can do that by going to Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. on all of their socials. All of New York. You can get the first ever SDH jersey, thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente, Beyond Goals Mentoring, Soccer for Good. You can get the Navy jersey, either with white letters and numbers if you choose to personalize. I didn't, so I just have the front. Or light blue personalization. You can do it either way. And our resident fashion model, Greg Garza, on his social media and on SDH's social media, showcased the jerseys with Maddie and Greg and Sophia, where it is SDH 247. Greg had that immediately when it came to marketing. So you can catch Maddie and Sophia and Greg looking all serious with our Olive in New York release. And you can get that at Olive in New York. And once again, help all of the programs that we've earmarked here in 2025 that help give back. You can go through Olive in New York as well. And also the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, if you choose to get scarves and you choose to get bucket hats and jerseys and things like that, the 2030 No Home jersey is now out for Marshall Islands fans. You can get the scarves, but once again, you order through them, but you get it from me. And I've got less than 20 now on the other side of this door. And thanks to everybody who has helped out, purchased, told, shared the story, told where to get it, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I got less than 20 scarves left on the other side of this door before we go ahead and make a new order. And you can pick that up at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, but you pick up the scarf from me either in person or I mail it to you. So you can do all those things with everything going on here in the SDH universe. Once again, 6 and 8 tonight, SDH 1. SoccerDownHere.mixler.com is going to have the boys action for the Creek Cup. I'll be on SDH 2 with the one girls match from Northview. So that's where we are tonight. We're kind of busy, but that's a good busy. That means that the season's getting started and everything is rocking and rolling. We mentioned what's going on in the Premier League, and I know that we probably just need to talk about what the USL is looking to do with the article that came out this morning from Paul Tenorio. So we'll get into that and briefly go over the finals from last night in the UCL Champions League and from CONCACAF. But Matt Law, this morning from the Telegraph, Everton will soon join Nottingham Forest and Leicester in having front-of-shirt sponsors who are unlicensed to trade in Great Britain. 3 Premier League clubs face fines and prison threats over unlawful gambling sponsorships. Everton, Forest, and Leicester will receive written warnings that they could face fines and staff could face prison sentences over front-of-shirt sponsors that have been deemed unlawful, in quotation marks, in Great Britain. Gambling Commission announced that Everton's front-of-shirt sponsor, Australian bookmaker Stake, will stop operating in this country, in England, by March 11. That means Everton are the 3rd club to promote a sponsor that cannot operate in Great Britain on the front of their shirts, along with Forest and Leicester. And this is from Matt Law, in a strongly worded statement, Gambling Commission said Everton and 2 other Premier League clubs will now receive written warnings. They will include threats of fines and prison sentences for individuals if effective measures are not in place to ensure that sponsors cannot transact with consumers in Great Britain. Investigation by the Gambling Commission was prompted when the Stake logo featured on posts made by an adult actress who claimed that she once slept with 1,000 men in a day. I'm not clicking on the article. I don't know who it is. Everton have not commented on the Gambling Commission's announcement. Understood it will not affect the club's partnership with Stake, which is global rather than UK focused. partnership was inherited by the Friedkin Group owners. Forest front shirt sponsor is Asian sportsbook Kayun, which is unlicensed in Great Britain and is also an official partner of Chelsea and Crystal Palace. Leicester display online gambling from BC Game, which is unlicensed in Great Britain. Forest have not commented. Believed the club has taken proactive steps to satisfy the Gambling Commission's demands. Leicester have also not commented. Premier League clubs agreed to withdraw gambling sponsorships from the front of matchday shirts from the 26-27 season, which means next year is the last year that they can display those logos. Gambling Commission had a rather large statement, and they confirmed that Stakes website in Great Britain is finally shut down. So you, Everton, you, Forest, and you, Leicester, have been warned. Fines and prison sentences if you do not remove the gambling from your front of shirt sponsorship. So keep that in mind going forward. But, once again, that was something that was in the works for quite a while. And Forest believe that they are complying and they are gradually doing the phase out. And then you also have the other two clubs trying to figure out what to do with those sponsorships on the front of those jerseys going forward. Now, also, FanDuel next, according to David. Once again, taking a quick tour. Let me just take the quick tour before we talk about the USL news and the concern that I have involving it. And it is strictly monetary. Let's see. Kai Havertz's injury, once again, looks like he is going to be out for the season. Nico Jackson's going to be out for a while. The Maida goal for Celtic closed the gap, but Bayern still has the edge in Champions League there. So keep an eye on Champions League. Let's see. I'm trying to see. Oh, yes. World Cup 2034. Apparently, and this is from Paul McGuinness at The Guardian, the Saudi Arabian ambassador to the UK has told football fans, quote, plenty of fun can be had without alcohol, end quote, as he warned them not to expect to drink if they attend the 2034 World Cup. Prince Khalid bin Bandar bin Sultan Al Saud, Khalid bin Bandar bin Sultan Al Saud, also said, quote, we will welcome everyone when asked to address the safety of LGBTQ people at the tournament. In an interview with LBC, Prince Khalid said, quote, at the moment, we don't allow alcohol, but plenty of fun can be had without alcohol. It's not 100% necessary. And if you want to drink when you leave, after you leave, you're welcome to. But at the moment, we don't have alcohol, end quote. Guardian had previously reported FIFA has decided not to press local organizers to sell beer inside stadia during the World Cup, mindful of what happened in 2022 when Qatari officials pushed back against beer sales at the matches. McInnes says there has been speculation on the Saudi state that they'll look to roll back even stricter laws on drinking, perhaps allowing tourists to drink in international hotels as they can in much of the rest of the Gulf. Prince Khalid appeared to reject that possibility in the interview, although he did so using the present tense. So keep an eye on 2034 and what could happen in Saudi Arabia in 2034 with the international tournament. Okay, handful of minutes to go before we're anticipating our buddy Nino Torres. The article that came out in The Athletic, it appears that USL is set to launch a new Division I men's professional league. Currently fields 2, second division championship, third division League 1. Now they would like a 12 or 14 team first division league up and running in 27-28 that would operate as a separate and competing D1 entity from MLS. Tenorio caught up with USL President Paul McDonough, who said it was a natural next step for the league as it studied how to expand their impact after the 26 World Cup. Quoting McDonough, key moment for soccer in this country is we see where this game is going and we want to be a part of it. Taking this big initiative allows for the growth of the game throughout the country, end quote. And the move, once again, would give the USL membership leagues in each of the 3 tiers natural step toward promotion and relegation, which McDonough and the USL have outlined as a long-term goal for the league. USL would be the first to institute pro-rel in the history of the sport in the U.S. McDonough, quote, "We've been very public about trying to get there with it," meaning pro-rel. "We're not there yet, but we'll continue to push forward with it. If soccer in the country is truly going to grow, it's going to grow outside of 30 or 32 markets," McDonough said. U.S. Soccer's Pro League standards for men's leagues require D1 outfits to have at least 12, located across the time zone. 75% of the teams playing in metropolitan markets have at least 1 million people. All league stadia have to have minimum seating capacity of 15,000, several levels of financial viability, ownership groups that can demonstrate the financial capability to operate a team for 5 years. You also have to have a broadcast contract, full-time team staff for each club, and full-time league operations staff. USL is the first to attempt this since 2016. McDonough said the court decision with the NASL did not impact USL's strategy to push for a league, commissioned a study with the consultancy firm 21st Group to study how the USL could differentiate itself in the marketplace. McDonough said we were probably ready to go. We were ready to go with this sooner, but with everything pending with U.S. Soccer, we just put it on hold till it was resolved. But we have to get going, so now's the time. USL execs met with U.S. Soccer to go over their plans. At this stage, quoting McDonough, "There is no pushback from U.S. Soccer. Shared our plan and vision, very good, and asked what they could do to help." USL owners informed of the decision about the new First Division late Wednesday night. The expectation is that multiple teams will move from Championship into the new First Division League, including markets like Louisville, Sacramento, Indy, Phoenix, and Vegas. So this will be your required reading for the day to go through the article. We went through about half of it, but it appears USL wants to go Division One. And there's the link in the Twitch pitch. So my concerns obviously are financial. And I'm looking at this straight up financially. Markets that were mentioned, if those were the ones, if those were 5 of the first 12 or 14, and this is something that we've seen in USL League 2, as they have, USL League 1, as they have tried to gather their footprint and gather their place. USL League 1 had a lot of Southeastern teams in their footprint to start things off. Great idea. When you have a league starting off, you have to make sure that your travel budgets and your economics are not far-flung. They are in USL League 1. They're getting less. They're getting less far-flung because you're having teams that are being added out west finally. Even though you lose Central Valley Fuego, you add AV Alta. And you have the teams that are up and down the Pacific time zone. But it has to be economical to function going from one end of this country to the other. That Indy to Phoenix flight, unless you go PJ, it is not cheap. Sacramento to Indianapolis, I would imagine less so. So in trying to find those 12 to 14 markets while trying to satisfy each time zone and the demands of U.S. Soccer, you've got to figure this out where the travel expenses are sound, for lack of a better word. You have to make sure that you're not dropping $90 gazillion on your Sacramento to Louisville nonstop flights. And remember, Ricky, Detroit's also trying to get into a new stadium. So, and Harry, our resident San Antonian. And like I said, we're throwing names out there right now. But just if you're going to do something like this, just be sound. Sound in your market selection, sound in your vetting of your groups to make sure that they can handle that 5 years. So I'm intrigued. I want to see how this looks going forward. Good morning, Harry. But I want to see if USL is in fact serious and Paul McDonough in his in his piece, catching up with Paul McDonough. McDonough said this is the time. You got to find those 12 to 14 markets. You got to find those 12 to 14 ownership groups. They've got to be all in. They've got to have the smart business plans. They've got to be locked and loaded and ready to go for 5 years. Highmark does not seat a whole lot of folks. I think it's like 6,000. And that's the thing. If you have the stadium in Pittsburgh. Oh, crap. What's the... right there on the river. Yeah, Highmark in Pittsburgh. So I did have it right. I was freaking out. 5,000. So and you can't... If let's just say if Pittsburgh, and this is, like I said, we could go down this road a great deal. If it was Pittsburgh, Highmark would have to triple in size, well, double from what, yeah, exactly, Harry. Right now it's 5,000. Highmark up against the river is 5,000, and the train line. It's 5,000 seats. You'd have to double what you've got there now. If it was Highmark where you wanted to go, just as an example for Pittsburgh, Highmark would have to triple its attendance or its capacity just to get in the door. If it was Highmark, I mean, they could go back to Memphis. True, Ricky, yes. But I think that the Memphis group wanted to have a soccer-specific stadium and not play at AutoZone. Maybe you played the Liberty Bowl. I don't know. And Harry talking about the stadium in San Antonio. San Antonio would need to increase by 50% just to get to the 15,000. And that's the other element in all of this, is the infrastructure that it would take if you want to use the stadia that are currently there that you have as a part of your deal. And you wanted to take some of your big guns in USL Championship or wherever, to get them to 15,000 and make sure that you met the requirements of U.S. soccer. I'm trying to see if we can find, where is it? Teams. Okay. Where's my capacities here? Oh, okay. So Patriots Point, I mean, just to run it down, some of the big guns in the USL Championship currently. Patriots Point seats 3,900. Detroit City Keyworth is at 8. They'd have to double it, but they're looking to build a new place. We'll pick this back up in a bit. It is time. It is time. It is time. It is time. He has dropped in. He has parachuted in. He's ready to go because it is after 10 o'clock. You know what that means. It's time to check in on our buddy Nino Torres. And we bring him in because we go yellow, yellow, yellow on a Thursday.
Yellow, yellow, yellow. Johnny, Geelong, everyone in soccer down here. This is Nino Torres with you. Fully loaded, baby. Fully loaded. We got an episode to share. We got an episode to share between Johnny and I. We combined efforts together to bring a broadcast via WhatsApp last Sunday.
I mean, all right. So I've been talking about it since Monday because it was such a hoot. And this is where you need to talk to the folks at Gold TV to get that clip. And so we have it. We have it in the library forever. But as full disclosure, when Nino's calling matches on Gold TV, I will stop. I will stop and stare. I will stick and stay. And I like to listen to the conversation that Nino has with the action, with the players, with the refs, all this kind of stuff. And Nino got stuck. He was trying to think of a name of a movie, and it ended up being Invincible with the story of Vince Papale and Mark Wahlberg, who's 5'6", 5'7", trying to play somebody who's 6 foot. And I mean, great movie, great story and all that, but he couldn't think of Invincible. And so, of course, I chimed in on WhatsApp and I said, it's Invincible. And that got us started on football movies. while we're watching what's going on in Portugal, talking about Willie Beeman and Any Given Sunday and comebacks and speeches by Al Pacino, all these kinds of things. This is what people are missing, my friend, when they don't tune in to your matches on Gold TV.
Oh, thank you, Johnny. I mean, I had a blast every time, and I'm so blessed to get to do what I love. And I don't know what these things are coming, man. They just keep coming and coming and coming, and I put it all together, and then ended up telling the story alongside with the game, which is I love it, man.
And it's always fun. Could you please, sir, as we tour the planet in 30 minutes, explain what in the wide world of sports is going on in Portugal? Because it's chaos inside the country, but then they can't get out of their own way outside the country in Champions League.
I know. It's a curse. I think it's a curse, brother. I think it is a curse for Sporting, the new coach, and but on their defense, all right. On their defense, it's like they're missing four big players, all right. 4 players missing. And when you go into international competition, you might get away with it in the domestic competition. Oh, I'm missing these 2 players. We're going to solve the issue here, right? No. You're going outside, bro. You're going with the big dogs, and it's a different kind of fight. It's a different kind of fight. You miss your elbow is not in shape. No, they're going to hit your elbow, and they're going to make you feel the pain. And having said that, I think there's one issue with Jokic, okay? He's got this muscle fatigue on one of his legs, and he's not resting. I mean, he has to rest. I understand that they use we're not used to only 30 minutes, 25 minutes here, or 30 minutes. Dude, take your 2 weeks off and come back 100%. Like, he's not. I mean, if I'm the coach, I would say, I love you. You are the best goddamn striker on the planet, but you got to take a rest.
Yeah.
You got to take a rest. We need you 100%. There's no. I mean, the Night King cannot go out there like, I only want to relive half of the people. The other people is going to stay dead. No. It's not going to work like that. It's not going to work like that. Man. That's the issue. The other side.
Yeah.
We'll talk about.
Yes. So as you become hydrated, sir, and we go with whatever else is on your mind. Let's since we're there, let's talk about Boa Vista.
Yeah.
I see this picture. I see this picture, and we'll get into Champions League and no Peruvian FA Cup and all these kinds of things. But I see this picture from Boa Vista, and there are 8 dudes, 8, not 1 or 2 holding up jerseys or anything. Hey, we signed so and so, and they hold up the jersey in front of the logo in the lobby of the club or anything. But legitimately, they dropped 8 dudes on us. My first question is, outside of the 8 dudes and who they brought in, is Boa Vista going to actually pay these folks?
That's a good question. I don't know. We'll see at the end of the month if the money's on their bank accounts. But most likely they're going to make an effort. They're making an effort. But the thing is, they were banned for signing players. Because of they were not paying the players, And so it's kind of like you were in bankruptcy and you're just getting a new credit card, right? Something like that. You're gonna go again in the roller coaster and not paying again. And so, but the thing is, I'm happy for them. All of them, by the way, are free agents because they don't have the money to get. So let's give me the best free agents in the planet right now. Boom, boom, boom. And everyone basically. It came on a free transfer. That's the move. They gotta figure something out because they are the dead bottom up table, not winning a single game in like forever. And and the coach. For those who don't know, this guy, Lito Vichigal, he is the master. I mean, the absolute master in the game that avoids relegations. So when you're in trouble, when the ship is thinking, hey, call Lito, brother, he's going to help us out. He's done that many, many times in the Premier League, many, many times, all right? And this is not his first rodeo. Actually, this is a championship rodeo for him in terms of saving teams from relegation. He was signed on a Sunday, and he's Monday mornings, 7 a.m. He was on the pitch, working with the players, trying to motivate him. And we'll see. It's kind of crazy because Boavista was a dead team walking since the start of the season, but now it might be a miracle in the making. We'll see. There's nothing that I can guarantee. That there's like a fully 100% Nino Damas prediction, but I want to say this Nino Damas prediction is 85% accurate. 85%.
Wow.
It's a 50%.
Wow. Because
rule error, but I'm gonna give you a good 85%. A little bit, you guys can save this Boavista team from relegation.
And they've lost 5 in a row, and their first match out of the blocks is against Estrella, who is also in that relegation fight, 5 points ahead of them. And that is tomorrow, I think, at 3:15 Eastern time. So you can be sure to catch that. What do you know what you're calling this weekend, by the way, sir?
Yes, I do. I call Uruguay tomorrow. It's Wanderers Liverpool, and then we got Benfica on Saturday. Santa Clara Benfica. We got my beloved Universitario Deportes, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'm so pumped. It's not on the topics, but I dropped something about the Universitario. We drew in the last freaking second of the game. We were winning 1-0. And then our goalie decides to go, hey, let me catch some butterflies out there. Oh, look at that one. Look at that one. And then boom, he misses completely. But the problem actually started there because now it's been Thursday. Every single day, they wanted to basically, I don't know, they want to hang this goalie, man. Oh, where's their goalie? Oh, this goalie sucks, brother. This is your champion goalie. He won the championship for you last season. This is the first game of the season. The very first game of the season. Are you kidding me? No, it's not like the guy makes these mistakes every other week. No. Oh, what about the mistake he committed on September 13th of last year?
For the record, Estrella is favored at a plus 152 as they go to Boavista tomorrow at a plus 194. On the weekend, Moreirense and Casapia, Nacional and Estoril, Santa Clara Benfica, that's the big one at 1 o'clock on the 15th, and Sporting and Arouca, that is on the 15th.
It's a tough game for Sporting. Arouca is
okay, well then here, I'll give you the juice boxes on that one.
What's the juice
Sporting
box?
is a minus 400. Arouca plus 922 to win outright. Your draw is a plus 475.
Ooh, I would love that draw.
Okay.
I'm telling you. I'm saying that draw was gonna get some money for folks. So go for that draw because I don't know if Sporting is gonna crush Arouca, but Arouca is so strong right now. Arouca is so strong right now. I would not like to face Arouca right now. Oh, no. We'll see. We'll see what happens. In the end, probably Jokers gets mad at me because I'm being criticizing him, and he scores a hat trick, and the game is over, right? But I don't know. Arouca.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then
We'll
on
see.
the 16th, Rio Ave is hosting ABS, Firenze hosting Porto, Vitória Guimarães and Braga. Right now, you can throw a blanket over that one. Guimarães plus 166, Braga's a plus 159 to win on that one. And then on the 17th, which is, wow, that's a big weekend. Gil Vicente and Famalicão. Famalicão is a plus 200 on the road. Gil Vicente is a plus 150. So there you go. Okay. All right. So next topic on the sheet. And like I said, I'm looking at them for the first time. There is only one Greek god, Pavlidis.
Yes. Vangelis Pavlidis has been on fire for Benfica since the beginning of the year. All right. And that's another, Nino, you were right, episode 575. Okay, because I was right back when I said this. Hey, Benfica fans, just be patient with your striker. All right, because the second half of the season, this dude is gonna explode. Nino, are you sure? Just wait. Just wait. Boom. January 1st, brother, he started scoring. He started scoring actually at the toes. Hey, Happy New Year 2025. He was already scoring. He was already scoring, brother. 6 goals. 6 goals in 6 weeks. All right? 6 goals in 9 games in the Champions League. All right? So this guy is on pace. He's going to be finishing the season in double digits. And you can see it's just unbelievable how human beings are, because he starts scoring, right? And you see his confidence started slowly to getting up. And you see the goal that he scored this one, brother. Check it out. It is absolutely marvelous. The touch he sees as a goalie, he almost winked at him and like, I got you, brother. I got you. He chips the ball over like that. Oh my God, it's just phenomenal goal. And you see his face. You see his face like, oh yeah, I am a god, brother. I am a god. I'm gonna rock this world out for you, Benfiquistas. And he's like that. The floodgates are open for him. And how many goals I said he was going to score? I think he's going to score like 15. That was my prediction. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I think he's going to go, in the pace that he's going to go 15, 16 goals in the domestic league, in the Premier Liga. And, you got to add also the goals in the Champions League. And I believe that Benfica will advance to the next round when they face Monaco again next week at Stadio da Luz.
Mm-hmm. So since you're there, well, let's go ahead and discuss. You have it listed as this. The sentence, the bullet point from Nino Torres. The aura of Real Madrid in Champions League.
That's it. There's no team in the planet that has that aura in any tournament. In any tournament. Not in Copa Libertadores, not in the FA Cup, not in the no. When it comes to Champions League, these guys, I don't know. They think that's such a thing like a soccer Viagra or something. I think that's what they take, man. To be honest, before every Champions League game, because they're almost dead, and then out of the blue,
wait a minute. Wait a minute there, cowboy.
Oh my God. They come back and then they finish the games. They finish their games and and they got the job done. They got the job done. And once again, and all that, you see the tifo?
Yeah.
You see the tifo? Oh, Vinicius Junior, how about you like this? La. But I don't like Vinicius. We talked about this. Right? I don't like Vinicius. I don't like his character, his personality. But he's the best winger on the planet. I don't know if the best player in the planet, but he's the best winger in the planet. And when you have Mbappe, when you have Bellingham, they can turn games around by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is probably the end. They're saying that they're not gonna fire Pep. I don't think they're gonna fire Pep but I think at the end of the season he might walk away. I think he might walk away because this relationship is worn out. It is worn out. There's nothing that you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. He's not gonna turn this ship around. He's not. And the players he's getting, no. I don't see another. I think this is the end of the Pep era.
Wow.
This is the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Bayern beat Celtic. They had a 2-0 lead. Might have scored to make it 2-1 to make it a little respectable heading into the second leg. Feyenoord over AC Milan 1-0. Benfica beat Monaco 1-0. And Club Brugge on a softest of soft calls got a late call and a late goal over Atalanta 2-1.
They robbed them. And I saw the game live. I was watching the game. That was an absolute, why do you have VAR? So why do you have the AR? He never touched him. He never touched him. He was just no. That's not a penalty. Not here. Not in the planet. Only on their eyes. And the Spanish commentator was saying, it's okay because they have the best VAR referee on the really. I mean, okay, we're human beings,
Yeah,
right?
we are.
We screw up. Like he did screw up big time because that was not a penalty.
No, it was not. Before we get into Copa Libertadores, which I definitely want to get into, no Peruvian, and then all right. So here's where it changes. So I look at the note, and he says, and this is normal lettering, normal capitalization, things like that. No Peruvian, and then he goes all caps for the rest of it. No Peruvian FA Cup in all caps, comma, another blooper in all caps. Please explain to the audience, sir.
So you came out at the beginning of the season, the Peruvian Soccer Federation. Hey guys, we're gonna do this new competition, right? We're gonna do the Copa Liga Uno, which is basically a league cup, right? But when you get the teams from the first division, the second division, we're gonna like a Peruvian FA Cup here. Everything's gonna be so cool because we're trying to eliminate this other tournament. So we're creating this new tournament. All right, everyone on board. Everyone on board.
Apparently not.
3 weeks later. 3 weeks later. No, we're not doing it. Why not? Why? Because there's a conflict of schedule. You couldn't figure it out that before you come up with the idea. So again, it's just bomb after bomb after bomb. We on top of that, I know the topic was the Copa, right? But on top of that, we got an interim coach for the Peruvian national team, and what's his contract like? He's been hired only for 6 games for the remaining 6 games of the World Cup qualifier. Okay, but he's hired as an interim coach. He's not the coach. You know what? And just in case he messes up in the next 2 games that we have coming in March, so they can fire him.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't win the games, no, he's just an interim coach. And that way they try to avoid another massive payout that they have to make because they fired Gareca, the coach that took us to the World Cup, because he was costing so much money. But then they fired the next 2 coaches, so they got paid for firing.
Yeah.
So on top of all that money that you say you didn't have, you ended up paying it and compensations to head coaches that you got fired.
Throwing more money after money, that never happens when it comes to coaches. That never happens at all. One of the shows that we have here on the network is our buddy Howard Hamilton, and he is the creator of Soccer Metrics. And Howard does a Copa Libertadores podcast that airs on the audio side on the network. And so as a part of all of this, and see, this was Nino's first topic on the day. And so this is how I bring everything full circle, is the Copa Libertadores. You have Alianza Lima versus Boca in the Copa Libertadores. So for those that haven't had the chance to catch up on the Copa, what's going on, and then when you have a showcase match like this with Alianza Lima and Boca, what is up with this?
It's huge. It is huge. And when Alianza Lima beat Nacional from Paraguay last night, 3-1 in Lima, outstanding game for Alianza Lima. They struggled big time when they went to Paraguay in the first leg, but the second leg they just dominated the scene. And the problem is that you got to face Boca now. You got to face Boca Juniors now. Because it's every time, because we are at the lowest tier in Copa Libertadores. We're always gonna get or either Flamengo or River Plate or Boca Juniors, and we cannot catch a break. Having said that, Boca Juniors is on a freaking insane series of games. So right now, what is it now? they played yesterday. They playing, and then they play on Saturday, and then they fly on Sunday to Lima to play at Alianza on Tuesday, and then they come back to play on Friday, and then they play Alianza Lima again on Tuesday. So it's an insane number of games for Boca Juniors, right? Insane number of games. So it's gonna be 11 games in 30 days.
Damn.
That's a
Let's see.
That's a lot. And they're really taking a toll. They really took a toll on one of their players. Edison Cavani is not playing. He got a lumbar issue. And there's many other players that the number of minutes that they've been playing so far this year, it is just off the charts. I'm not saying you got to take everything in consideration. And when you got that many miles in the tank, it costs you. It takes a toll on you, on not only on you by yourself, but on the team. So I think it's a big chance. There's a big chance for Alianza. They have to take care of business here in Lima, and then go to La Bombonera to see what happens there, because you're not only playing 11 players in there. You're playing the referee. Right, you play everyone else, Chiquitapia, with all the coup of the CONMEBOL in Buenos Aires. So yeah, you better take care of business in an outstanding way here in Lima, and then go to La Bombonera, not needing something spectacular. Because you go, if there's even a draw here in Lima, they're not gonna make it. The Alianza Lima needs to win big over Boca, and I'm telling you, it is possible. Right now, Boca Juniors is there's no team in Argentina right now that that has a high pedigree. It's all about their history. They're playing with their history. Oh, we got 6 copas, you got 5 copas. I don't care. I'm not playing against your historians, brother. I'm playing against the players that are playing right now. And any of these players, every single player from Boca Juniors having won a couple of Libertadores. So we are even. So I'm gonna say I don't care about your history, but I'm not playing against the books. I'm playing against
right now in the semis. It is Deportes Iquique and Santa Fe, Alianza Lima, Boca Juniors. And by the way, when we talk about everything going on in South America, some of the best names for teams ever. The strongest. That's it. That's their name. The strongest. Literally. That's who they are. They're taking on Bahia, Boston River, and Nublense, Monagas and Cerro Porteño, Deportes Tolima, and Melgar. And then we try to figure out who's going to be taking on Barcelona. Could it be Blooming?
All right.
Or El Nacional, because Blooming has a 3-2 lead after the first leg. I just like saying Blooming as a soccer club. Blooming is the name, literally. That's the name of the team. Blooming and the strongest.
Blooming, they got Always Ready. What is it? The strongest. I think those Bolivians, man, I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of Americans there, I guess. Or
hey,
I
mean, look, the coverage that we've done, and you bringing it back into the fold where we get to look at some of the coolest names around. Look, I've got an Almirante Brown jersey here in the house. You've seen it.
Yeah,
so, I mean, it's fun stuff.
I'm gonna find there. There's a team here in Peru. It's called Piratas FC. Is Pirates FC basically, and they have the Jack Sparrow logo, brother. They got the Jack Sparrow logo on their jerseys. I want to find them. If I find it, all right.
Man.
If I can find that Piratas FC jersey, all right.
No doubt.
Just thinking out loud, but
all right, it's all good. As always, my friend, it's great to see you. Have fantastic calls this weekend. May the pipes be as fantastic as they always are. You know that we will be keeping an eye on things, and always stay fully loaded, my brother. We will catch up with you next week to find out what else is going on around the planet in 30 minutes. Love to see you. Love to hear your voice, and we'll catch up with you next week, my friend.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, everyone.
There goes Nino. And next week, we'll talk to Nino about Columbus Crew because we're getting closer to the season. And we got to talk to Nino about what's going on with Cruz. We get ready for Major League Soccer here in 2025. But it's always around the world in 30 minutes with our buddy Nino Torres and Gold TV. Because literally we did Libertadores, Champions League, Portugal, Pavlidis, and Peru. That was brought to us by the letter P. It was the today's Fully Loaded brought to us by the letter P. Our buddy Niko Moreno dropping by, coming up in a little bit to kind of circle back into the USL Championship discussion. We were looking at capacities, and I just wanted to get this before Niko drops in. Detroit would have to double their size at the old hospital grounds. I think they're looking for something in the neighborhood of 15,000. Hartford would have to play probably someplace not Trinity Health, because that's 5,500. They'd have to triple it. Indy 11, Carroll Stadium, right now they play at Uwe Pui. They'd have to increase that by 50%. Loud United, they played Segra. They'd have to triple it. Lou City, Lynn Family, I'm sure could be expanded to make it to 15,000. The Miami FC, currently they're listed as still playing at Kia Field, South Florida Kia Field and Pitbull Stadium, although they play really at the campus of they play at the FIU soccer stadium more often than not. Right now, they'd fit 20,000 at FIU. Wake Med's 10. You'd have to figure out if and this is in a perfect world if all of these places were interested in going D1. North Carolina, Cary, they'd have to expand by 50%. Highmark would have to triple. They're at 5. Same for Tidewater Landing, but I think Rhode Island FC might be happy where they are. 52-52 is Tidewater Landing's anticipated capacity. Tampa Bay would have to double it because Al Lang right now is at 7,200. Widener Field, Colorado Springs, 8,000. They'd have to double it. Southwest University Park, 9,500. They'd have to double it. Same for Cashman Field in Vegas, 9,334. Lexington SC Stadium, if they were interested, they'd have to double it. Right now, 7,500. Cardinal at Seaside at University of California, UCMB, 6,000 at Cardinal. They'd probably have to find a bigger venue. The Lab would be close. I'm sure they could expand it. Right now, they're at 13,500. Roots played Oakland Coliseum. They'd be okay. Orange County plays in Irvine. They'd have to triple it. Phoenix Rising Soccer Stadium at the corner of 38th and Washington. They'd have to expand it by 50%. Sacramento right now playing at Heart Health is 11,569. What do they do? San Antonio, to Harry's point, 82.96. One OK at Tulsa is 78.33, so they'd have to double it. Brooklyn playing at Maimonides Park is at 7,000. Sporting Club Jacks would have to keep it in mind if they wanted to jump. Santa Barbara Sky plays at Harder at UCSB, 17,000. They'd be okay. Milwaukee Pro would have to double it in the Iron District. Ozark United would have to triple it. They're at 5,000. USL Pro Iowa, 6,300. So they'd have to double it, if not more, and more. And then you have the teams that are still online: Buffalo, Palm Beach, and Dallas. And so that's just the rundown of the stadia in the current homes. If the USL championship sides were interested in going into this new D1 configuration. So that's what you're staring at, involving just the interest in wanting to go to the next level into this D1 idea that was proposed and set upon in this article that Paul Tenorio had, catching up with Paul McDonough. And the teams themselves have now been putting out the releases. Lou City put out their release that it was attached to the release this morning. And so Lou City officially is out with their statements. And let me see if I can find and see if it's any. Yeah. So 10:14 this morning, and the Alamo Dome would have to be considered, but you'd have to think of the width of the football configuration. So Lou City, just as an example, USL takes bold step forward with launch of Division I Pro Men's League. So Lou City comes out. David, Memphis, Memphis no longer exists, and they were the Memphis license, I guess, if you want to call it, the franchise license went to Santa Barbara. And so Santa Barbara is going to be waiting for not 25 at 26 before they come in, and they're coming in the championship as opposed to initially League One. So Alec Papadakis came out with a paragraph, and it's mostly him, and they discuss what's going on, but we'll go over that in just a little bit. You know, it's time. It's time. And he's indoors, and he's not wearing a hat. Last half hour of the show that we always do here on Thursdays. Time to go from Lima with our buddy, with our buddy Nino Torres, to Seattle and our buddy Niko Moreno. He is not wearing a lid, but what cup of coffee are you on, sir?
Cup number 2 today.
All right, with the Rave Green. And
oh yeah, you got to do the Rave Green because, man, it's all about the Rave Green starting off the season here soon.
Look at you checking the hairdo out of the blocks. You're checking to make sure that every hair is in place. It's always in place. You have no concern, sir.
I appreciate it, my guy.
When I was previewing everybody that was going to be on the show this morning, and I discussed you and your normal Thursday spot, as we do Thursdays with Niko, you have been very, very high on Pedro de la Vega. And I'm just going to go ahead and start the Seattle discussion out of the blocks because I noticed that when you were looking at camp yesterday and such. And so I proposed to our audience that if they were filling out their fantasy teams, that if they were to listen to you, that perhaps Pedro de la Vega should be on their fantasy teams here in 2025. Was I wrong in that assessment, considering where you were coming from with your observations?
Yes, I think that there is a very good chance that Pedro de la Vega can probably be a guy that you get on the cheap side as well. If we're using the MLS fantasy standard, right? You need to get that 100 mil that you get to put your team together. Yeah, I think that he's going to be a guy that might start off on the cheaper side because right now, there are some question marks about how much play time he's going to get under the formation with 3 in the back specifically. But with Albert Rusnak's injury right now, he might be able to show some things that might make it difficult to get him out of the lineup, right? Because first game's in Antigua. It's coming up. I don't foresee Albert playing that game. So if he shows up the way I think he's going to show up, he might be something of conversation, and he might make Brian go back to the 4-2-3-1 where he's a Sharpie on starter, right? So specifically about his play, specifically about what I've seen, that's already 2 90-minute games in preseason that we've seen him in. Yesterday, I thought it was remarkable that after 2 goals, a bicycle kick that gets saved and eventually deflects to Yemar Gomez Andrade for one of the goals. A Rabona just being a menace throughout the whole game. The whistle of the 90 minutes goes off, and Pedro de la Vega's upset. Oh, man, come on. Oh, wanted more. You could tell that the guy was just, hungry, ready. I mean, he's upset because the game is over and they're up 4-0. He has this unbelievable game, but he just feels like he has this need to just put it out there, right? So all around, I've heard great things from Pedro de la Vega. He's a guy that has been a standout, that in Marbella camp, where there's, a ton of scouts from different teams looking at various preseason teams and checking out who's there. He was always the guy that people were asking about, right? I mean, he's a guy that has those qualities on the ball that I think no one else in the team has. Not to that quality. I think Georgie can be very difficult to guard and can be really good on the one-on-one, but the things that Pedro does, man, and now that I feel like he's starting to play more free and more to his instinct. Like I said, the Rabona that I actually missed it. Jeremiah O'Shannon was the one who told me, "Did you see that Rabona?" I was like, "Nah," but he, said it was in the end line. He needed to get across. He does a Rabona. It doesn't come up to anything, but that little flair, those little things, combined with how good he's been physically, tell me that he's going to have a breakout season, man, and he's going to force himself into a lineup. And you usually don't think that a young BP would have to do that. But when he's had the struggles that he had last year, I could understand the coaching staff maybe wanted to take it easy and maybe just kind of settle him into 2025. But man, he's like a speeding bullet right now. He's just off the chambers and on his way, taking no prisoners. I mean, I'm telling you, yesterday's game, whether you want to, put the caveat that it was Louisville City, that, it's a team that, is also in a preseason rhythm and form, that's all right. But when it comes to the idea, the effort, the engagement, the creativity, the finishing touches, the technical components, man, it's all there, and he's making me excited, man. So yes, he's a guy that you want on your fantasy team this season.
Well, and you mentioned the rough year that he had last year, and I would imagine that this is probably one of the early challenges for Brian Schmetzer and the coaching staff. It's like, we know you're 100%. We know that you want to do X, Y, and Z out of the block, but because of last year, just take it easy and lean into it. We know you're type A plus. We know that you want to go at it at 9,000 miles an hour, but patience, grasshopper. Everything comes in due time. Just, let it lay out and everything will be happy. I would imagine the idea of putting a governor on and just kind of controlling De La Vega a little bit is probably going to be an early challenge, because he's going to want to go 100 miles an hour, and Schmetzer and the staff are going to be like, it's a 34 game schedule plus other things. We need you for the whole thing. You don't have to go out of the blocks so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And it will be one of those situations where I think not just him, but everybody in this squad, when we're talking about probably one of the deepest, if not the deepest Sounders team that I've covered since I started doing this. I think Ferreira is going to be a guy that's going to be a rotational guy at times, or at least they're going to manage some of his games. Jordan, you're absolutely right. When it comes to the coaches that's going to want to manage a guy like Pedro de la Vega. But again, if he goes to work the way he's been going to work, he's going to force himself into more minutes, more play time, being more of a consistent player in that formation. Whether that ends up being reflected statistically, I'm very confident that it will be. But in his positioning and things like that, it could vary. But man, I just think that with how aggressive the Sounders have been, how many numbers are committing forward, and how he's one of those guys that's crashing the box every single time. I mean, two of the goals yesterday, he's just closing in and crashing the box, right? Once a very good cross by Paul Arriola. The other one is a corner from Jesus Ferreira, or a free kick from Jesus Ferreira. And he's just in the right place at the right time. So whether there will be some of that managing him, I think that the guy is out for something to prove. And he is in the best shape I've seen him in, of course, since he arrived here in Seattle.
Okay, so just for full disclosure, for those who are watching, yes, they are moving the piano. That is for those that watched from the beginning of the show this morning. The piano is getting moved. So if you see activity going on behind me, they're not taking everything away from the set. We've paid all of our bills. It's just that the piano is leaving. So the piano is leaving, and then we're going to get a new piano to replace this one currently that is there. So that's what's going on. So I didn't want people to be alarmed. It's like, dude, they're deconstructing your set. What's going on? No, the piano movers are here early. All right, Western Conference. It is Christian Ramirez was picked up and officially official, and that is from Columbus, $250,000 in Garber bucks, and another $250,000 conditional in 2026. So CRAM officially from Columbus to LAG, since Joveljic went from LAG to Sporting. And so that's kind of where LAG is in trying to fill their parts right now.
Shut up.
And look, LA Galaxy is a team that, although they've made some changes, I still believe that with the acquisitions that they got, when I look at my rankings right now, and I haven't put them together, they're still top of the West. I still feel like they have enough of a talented group, even with Pencil out 6 to 8 weeks, even with Ricky out for probably a significant amount of time. I think that there is enough there under a system that was very intense, and I think that he's shaped out to be exactly what would exploit and bring out the best out of every player. I think that he can still be that going into 2025. Will Christian Ramirez be in every game and every minute guy? No, that's not what you want out of him. But he's a guy that is going to get you double-digit goals, is going to get you 3-4 assists maybe, right? Because of the way he holds the ball, especially under this formation where he's going to be able to retain it, drop it back to Marcus Royce, or if it's Peck on the side or whoever. I think he's going to have a lot of ways to influence the game for this Galaxy team. So I think it's a quality acquisition, especially for that price tag. If you look at forwards in that price tag of any age, right? Any age, there are not many that are as productive and influential as he can be. I think Christian Ramirez's IQ and field awareness is underrated. And man, anytime you have a guy like that, it's just good for business.
Yeah, and I think that you're going to end up probably with a little more of an expectation on Peck coming into the 25 season, trying to pick up the slack in the interim. Maybe a little bit more slack has to be picked up by folks like a Diego Fagundes for LAG going forward. You got to figure out where those gaps get filled. And I know there's going to be a lot of pressure on C-Ram, but I also want to see, you mentioned Marco Royce as a part of it, but Royce, Fagundes, more on Peck. And I think that's where LAG might be looking at least to take the pressure off of C-Ram to where they're not sitting there going, okay, we need 15 to 18 out of you.
No, 100%. And, whenever Pencil's back, he might be a guy that will play that 9 position where he's played it before. Obviously, very different than Joveljic did it, and very different than Christian can do it. You might see some Miguel Berry in there. I mean, it's just I think that Greg Vanney knows exactly what he's getting out of Christian Ramirez, and he knows the way he's going to want to use him. That's why I'm high still on the LA Galaxy. And you see Yoshida right now in the preseason. He's a guy that can have to provide you some goals. He's a guy that's been a leader for that squad.
Mattered to Hornet too about his contract, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there you go. But overall, man, I think the Galaxy is still a pretty good team.
Yeah, Kevin Baxter was our required reading the other day about Maya Yoshida and his new contract, where Maya was less than happy about it and referred to having to take less to stay at LAG. The longer term of the frame BS, but Maya used the longer version of that particular phrasing. So that was our required reading, was Kevin Baxter's article with Maya Yoshida. Also attached to everything in the Western Conference big player move, and it has Western Conference and Eastern Conference all attached to it and everything. Lucho Acosta, his discussion is like, where's he going to go? Where's Evander going to go? And so the three-way dance ends up being Evander going independently from Portland to Cincinnati. And then you have Lucho, independent of all of that, going from Cincinnati to Dallas. 12 million one play, 6 million another play. And so the big names keep rotating in and around. But the idea of the intra-league transaction where you're just paying straight up cash homie to bring in players, you're there. And so we're getting our first two moves with these two big names.
Man, I love it. I really, you knew it was going to happen, and you knew it was going to be a domino effect. There were two things that were for sure going into 2025. One was that Evander was not going to play in Portland, was not going to play in Portland. He didn't matter what and how it was going to happen, but there was going to be a move made. And then when it came to Lucho, a guy that I think was looking for a last big payday, goes to Dallas, a team that needs him. And when we heard about the contenders for the Lucho Acosta sweepstakes, I said it, look, Dallas is going to be the team. There's no doubt in my mind. They have the open books right now. They just did a fire sale, have a whole bunch of space and need for him. So he's a guy that's going to be not just getting right now that move over there, but eventually will get a big contract with Dallas. So it's, to me, a good move for Dallas. They needed that. I think him and Peter Musa are going to be a very good and very interesting duo. If obviously they all play to their potential. And then Evander, oh man, look, I love Evander. And I think that this moves hurts Portland more than it helps Cincinnati. And I don't know if I'm making myself clear there, but Portland does not have a guy right now that can do the things that Evander can do. I know that he had issues. I know that he was a diva. I know that he, honestly did not want to be there. And that's just tough cookies for Portland because they should have figured that out before they brought him in and gave him all this power. But you go back to last season, a team that was a mess defensively, but it always played to the rhythm that Evander played. If Evander had a good game, Portland had a good game. He needed to rescue him, he would rescue him. He was the guy that in any moment would hit you with a shot outside the 18, save you either draw a game or win you a game. Now they don't have that. And I really think that they are going to need to go out there and get a guy like that if they want to make the playoffs in a very competitive Western Conference at the moment. But he's moved to Cincinnati. I just don't know how it fits when it comes to the personalities. Mm-hmm. Noonan is not a guy that's going to be taking no crap. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
If it's going to be a problem in that regard, then we're already off to a bad start. So I feel like he's an unusual fit and an unorthodox fit. Now, if you can force that and get everything that you need out of Evander, then Cincinnati does get a really good player that they obviously need without Lucho Acosta. But when I look at the system, when I look at what they needed out of Luciano Acosta, I don't think that they are a like-to-like player. So I'm very curious on how he's going to adapt and in what way Noonan is going to use him as well. But all in all, I think Dallas gets better. I think Cincinnati still to be determined. And Portland is just in need of a big-time player.
Portland's a big old question mark. All right, the movers are about to take over the studio. Where do folks follow you here in the next 7 days before we reconvene and talk about actual games and things? What's up?
Yeah, man, go ahead and check me out, of course, on Pulso Sports. We got a ton of good stuff right now. I spoke to the Jesus Ferreira, talked to us about his adaptation, about how he's building a rapport with Pedro de la Vega and Jordan Morris. Talked to him in Spanish as well. We had Obed Vargas telling us that he don't want to hear the noise about $10 million for his transfer. He's just trying to work hard, and that as much as you hear Mexican teams wanting him, he's going to Europe. That's still the plan. I'm not going anywhere but Europe. So go ahead and check that out there as well. We got Paula Riola talking about facing 3 Mexican league teams in the Leagues Cup, including his former home of Xolos, Tijuana. So, man, a lot of good stuff there in Pulso. And go check out Nos Arietes. We just did a podcast yesterday where we broke down the entirety of the first game, the first group in the preseason game between Louisville City and the Sounders, and then the first half or 50 minutes that I watched of the second group. So go ahead and check that out there as well.
All right. Love you, my friend. We'll catch up next week. We'll talk about games, put a bookmark in the conversation about a guy like Noonan that don't take no crap. I like that.
All right, my friend. Take it easy.
There we go. There goes our buddy Niko Moreno, and he's a busy man. And we are busy here because the piano is about to get lifted, and it was going to be too much noise. So back at it again. Creek Cup today across the network, and it is 6 and 8 boys side soccer down here.mixler.com. I'll be over on SDH2 with the girls game from Northview High, and we'll be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow. Put a bookmark in our USL discussion because there's a lot of things to get into about it, and looking forward to continuing to have this discussion. The announcements are coming out from the individual teams with the release that's being put together by USL. And we'll keep an eye on that tomorrow, get you ready for the weekend. We'll talk about all the other deals. Matthew Corcoran, now a part of Nashville SC. Daniel D'Souza is San Jose. Eddie Davis signs with Philly. Owen Jean with Minnesota. Osaze Orgahide with FCD. Emmanuel Sabi with Vancouver. That's just a brief snapshot of everything going on once again. Games at 6 and 8 on our Mixler channels. Game at 6 on SDH2. Back at it again, 9:05 to get a bow on the weekend, and they're going to move a piano. So it's going to be a little different here for a little while until the other piano's here. But as we always know, the boss will always be here. So since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha Platia. I'll be back at it again tomorrow morning in almost